A few days ago, an article was taking round on the internet, a rather shocking one, that 75% of Pakistani population has depression. Scientifically research-wise proven. If you've heard about it, read it, or believed it, trust me, this video is for you. I'm a clinical psychologist, Simmal Naseeb, who's working with News Guru, and today we are going to be dissecting a rather crucial topic that is the need of the hour, and it's a very grim subject: depression. Pun intended. Well, if we look at our society, every person, every next person that you come across will think that they have depression. A little something goes off in their life and they'll say, oh my God, I'm so depressed. Especially Gen Z, you know I'm talking to you. So do they really have depression? Are they really clinically depressed? This is what we'll be talking about today. And then we'll also get into the details of why we have depression and how we can go towards curing it. So first, I need you to understand something, that in this life, there are problems. There's no person in the world who does not get sad because of the way, the path that their life takes. Life derails for all of us. So, we need, the first mistake that we make while understanding depression is that we mingle it, we confuse it with temporary sadness. Of course, my friends, if you are suffering from something in your life, for example, if you are having a breakup or if you have lost a job, it's human nature. It's in your tendency to feel sad. That's how we operate. That's how our mechanism works. So if you're just feeling sad about losing a job or something, that is not depression. That is temporary human sadness. When does it become depression? That is what we'll be discussing. So the first thing that you need to understand about depression is that the sort of depression that we talk about in psychological terms, it is called major depressive disorder. In order to be categorized as a person suffering from major depressive disorder, you need to have the symptoms that I am about to talk about, the symptoms that will account for your depression for a period of 2 weeks persistently, every day. For most part of the day, you need to have these symptoms. I am not trying to trivialize what you are going through, but I want you to understand that do not maximize your sadness, okay? And the symptoms that we'll be talking about today, if you are suffering from them, how to then regulate yourself, we'll talk about it as well. So, in order to be a person diagnosed with clinical depression or major depressive disorder, what you need firstly is the symptoms to be there for 2 weeks. We discussed that every day of the week. Now, what are the symptoms of MDD? How can you even begin to think that, oh, maybe I'm having that problem? Well, there are 9 symptoms. And out of those 9 symptoms, 2 are the flag bearers of depression. You need to have one of these 2 symptoms in order to be characterized as a depressive patient. What are those 2 symptoms? Number 1 is that you should have a lasting, persistently low mood and sadness for 2 weeks period. It should not be that, oh, I am so sad. Oh, my friends are here. Let's go party. That's not how depression works. How does depression work? Persistently low mood. Or you should have lack of interest in all pleasurable activities in your life. So if you enjoyed, let's say, reading a book, you don't feel like doing that anymore. If you enjoyed your work life, I can't do that anymore. I married out of love. Why am I losing interest in that girl? Boy, you might have depression. So these are the things that you need to understand, that one of these 2 symptoms should always be present. What is the first one? That you should have a persistently low mood. दिल आपका किसी चीज में नहीं लगता, आप दुखी रहते हो, सैड रहते हो, और उसकी आपको कोई वजह भी नहीं है कि मतलब ये चीज तो 2 हफ्ते पहले हुई थी, अभी तक मैं दुखी हूँ. इस तरह की sadness. And the second is that you cannot take interest in any activity in your life. One of these two symptoms should be present. Now, out of the next 7 symptoms, I know this is very scientific and a bit difficult to absorb, but we'll get through it and then we'll get to the good part. This is important because हमें लगता है कि थोड़े से दुख में हम depressed हैं, but इतने बुरे हालात नहीं होते. So this is how psychology works. We have trivialized psychology and that is not nice. We should not be doing that. Okay, now let's talk about the 7 symptoms out of which you need to have 4 symptoms in order to be depressed. The first one is appetite. You should have a lack of appetite. You should not feel hungry. Oh my God, bhook hi nahi lagti. You would see depressive patients, they either lose weight or they attain eating disorders or they gain weight. Okay? So you should either have that symptom. The second symptom is that you should have low energy. You should feel fatigued. Mentally, you should not be in a place where you can be like happy and, oh, I am so up to do that. No. Thirdly, we have suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations. What is the difference between suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations? Suicidal thoughts are, I just want to kill myself. Suicidal ideations are, oh, I can hang myself. When you have a particular idea, मैं गोलियां खा सकती हूँ. So when you have a particular idea, that is the next step. And that those are suicidal ideations. And you're much more likely to go on with them. So if you get them, please ASAP seek psychological help. Then the fourth symptom is insomnia or hypersomnia. You can either not sleep or you're sleeping for like 10 hours and 12 hours and most of the day you're sleeping. So both of them are equally very, very, very crucial for your health. And we'll make another video on sleep management and sleep issues and the importance of sleep. Do check that out. Then we have a very psychological scientific term, psychomotor agitation. What is that? That you have slowed down cognitive functioning. You have a slowed speech. You're like, yaar, kya karoon? Nahi hota. Because you're so depressed, it's overpowering. Depression is a real disease that overpowers your cognitive functioning, and you have slow psychomotor functioning, as in you're moving slowly, your muscle movement is slow, that you're not very active, okay, in life generally. Then the sixth is feeling of unworthiness, feeling of guilt. You feel like you're not worthy of anything. You're not even worthy of living. You don't deserve the good things that you have in your life. I often hear depressive patients come up to me and say things like, I don't think I deserve my wife. She does so much for me. And what am I giving her back? I'm losing interest in spending time with her, or vice versa. But the thing is that you need to understand that if you're feeling that, it's not you. It's your depression. If you're losing hair because of your cancer, you cannot blame yourself for that, right? This is what you need to understand. We blame ourselves for things that are biologically or clinically wrong with our systems or cognitive systems. Do you blame yourself for temperature? No, right? And the last function or symptom of depression is decreased concentration. You cannot concentrate, you cannot study, you cannot work. So your study and your work life, your productivity goes down. So out of these 7 features, you need to have at least 4 for persistently for 2 weeks. And the first 2 that I mentioned, out of those 2, you need to have 1. If you have these symptoms, you're depressed. If you have a tendency for these symptoms, if you feel like the path that my mental health is going on, it will derail me and I will go towards having these symptoms, how to help yourself? That is the question. Firstly, we need to understand that depression always begins with an activating event. Something goes wrong in your life. For example, I was in a healthy, happy relationship and that guy left me. And now my whole world shatters. I go from a girl who had it together to a girl who cannot regulate herself. And then things keep adding on, adding on, adding on until the straw that breaks the camel's back. So, depression has reasons. What are those reasons? Let's discuss. First is brain chemistry. You need to and all these reasons, I want you to understand that all these reasons that I'm about to tell you, they are intermingled. It is not that when you have one reason for depression, you do not have the other one. All these reasons of depression are connected. It's a complicated web in which a person is shackled. So the first reason is brain chemistry. There are certain neurotransmitters in your brain. For example, you have dopamine, that is the reason behind your motivation and drive to do something. See, we mentioned lack of interest and lack of pleasure in activities. It is connected to dopamine. Then we have oxytocin, that is the love hormone or the connection or bonding hormone that you get when you have great bonding with a person. So when all of these go down, and there are many other, there's serotonin and then there's endorphins, and inshallah, I'll make a video on the brain chemistry, the neuroscientific aspect of things. Right now we are discussing the psychological aspect of things. We'll also discuss the neuroscientific aspect of depression in some other video. For now, just know that when the level of these hormones go down, neurotransmitters go down in your brain, it has a severe effect on you. Secondly, we have genetics. So if your first degree relative had clinical depression, what is a first degree relative? Your biological parents, your siblings. So if they had depression, there is a tendency for depression in you. There's a tendency that maybe if something goes wrong in your life, you'll derail towards depression. So if you have such relatives around you, even if they are undiagnosed, by now you know how the symptoms to look for in proper depression, not societal depression. So if you see those symptoms, take care of yourself and take care of your siblings around you. Third is childhood development. Oh my God, I cannot stress on this enough. Freud could not stress on this enough. John Piaget could not stress on this enough. We are all a team in this. That your childhood events, your childhood experiences, how you were treated by your primary caregivers, the kind of relationship, the bonding that you formed with them, guys, it has a severe impact on your adult life. And for parents out there, things that are trivial for you, like getting angry on your child whenever you are stressed, etc., etc., it can, I'll use a very loose term, but it can screw them up when they grow. So please treat your children nicely. Please control over your emotions when you are dealing with them. They are children. They do not have well-developed prefrontal cortex. They cannot understand logical and reasoning. Be wise with them in dealing with them. The last one that becomes a reason for surfacing of the first three. So if, for example, you have a tendency for depression from your first degree relatives genetically, how will it surface in your life? By stressful life events. Something will go wrong in your life, and in that situation, maybe a person who does not have genetic malfunctioning depression wise, maybe they would not act in a very severe way, emotionally destructive way. But since you had that capacity, you will. That is your normal. First, we need to understand one thing, that there's no one normal in the world. No one right way to react to a situation. We all have certain different factors that are working. They can be biological, they can be physiological, they can be psychological, they can be social, they can be anthropological, they can be political, philosophical, and so on. You're not wrong for having depression. Don't stigmatize yourself and don't let people around you stigmatize you. And if they do, try to not let it get to your mind. understand the working behind depression. That is why I'm sitting here. This is my main target today. So these are some of the reasons why you can acquire depression. I know it's a long conversation, but trust me, guys, it is important to understand each and every step, the whole journey of depression that we've taken together. Now we are moving towards the part that you were waiting for. How to cure depression. Or how to, if maybe you find out that, oh, I do not really have that severe of depression, but I surely have that tendency. I feel like I get sad a lot. I get affected by certain life situations more than the people around me do. So if you're feeling, if you're getting a mood dystonic feeling, ego dystonic feeling that something is not right with the way I react to situations. Yes, it's not this depression, but I surely do get over sad or over attached. Then you have a tendency for depression. And do the risk mitigating stuff and ASAP try to inculcate these things in your life to protect yourself from falling in the shackles of depression. So in order to cure any psychological disorder, you need to work in two domains. One is mental and the other is physical. These go hand in hand with each other. If you want to improve something in your physical life, even your physical health for the matter of fact, you have to work on your mentality first and vice versa. So these two are connected together. You can't ignore one and focus on the other and say, oh, I am doing great in life. I'm a healthy person. In order to be a healthy person, connection. So the number one thing that I'll suggest you if you have a feeling that you have depression is seek psychological or psychiatric help. Oh my God, I cannot stress on this enough. I always say that true bravery is realizing when you need help. True bravery is realizing that, man, I cannot do this on my own. And no human being in the world can do everything on their own. I'll be giving a religious example, and a psychologist speaking religion can be considered a little out of lines. But yes, even the prophets had their companions, right? So everyone needs a hand to hold. So do you. So when you seek psychological help, what happens is that during depression, like we studied, that you feel fatigue, you feel loss of interest, your cognitive systems get affected. You are not up to the par on your reasoning abilities and your motivation, since we studied that your brain chemistry, your neurotransmitters go down. So you're not motivated to help yourself. You're not in the right state of mind to think logically and analytically that, okay, this is my toxic pattern, this is what I need to do, this is where I lack. In these things, you need help. You need to outsource this brain work because your brain is already going through so much, man. So outsource these things. Seek psychological or psychiatric help. And trust me, you can, I always say this, you can experience a new dawn. We all can experience a new dawn. Now, this is something that you've outsourced. What can you do on your own to cure this depression or to mitigate the risk of depression? Let's start with the mental stuff. One, there are so many things that you can do, but since the video will be too long and I can see my videographer there standing like, we need to cut it short. Well, the first thing that you can do is work on your attributional styles. Mentally, if I have to give you just one thing, that is work on your attributional styles. What are attributional styles? Basically, what happens is that as human beings, we have our brains always, they will always put reasons as labels to how and why something happens. So for instance, if you are depressed, your mind, the events that take place in your mind, your brain will say that they'll attribute reasoning to it. Why something happens, has a huge, enormous, tremendous impact on our working systems. So for example, the person who's depressed, they will have their attributional styles will be very distorted. So how will their attributional style be? Number one, it will be global. Number two, it will be stable. Number three, it will be consistent. I know what word psychological jibber jabber is that. Let me explain. For example, for me, my best friend left me. I'm a person who has either tendency for depression or who is depressed. So what will happen is that I will say that I will now attribute reasoning to why she left. Obviously, ये इसलिए हुआ, ये उसलिए हुआ, किस लिए हुआ. So I'll make it global. I'll rather than keeping it situational, I'll say मेरे साथ तो हमेशा ही ऐसा होता है. हर बंदा मुझे छोड़ के चला जाता है. किसी इंसान ने आज तक मेरा साथ नहीं सिपाया. तो मैं उसको ग्लोबल कर दूंगी. मैं अपने एक इवेंट ऑफ लाइफ को हर चीज पे अप्लाई कर दूंगी. फिर तो मैंने डिप्रेस्ड ही होना है. The second reason behind this is that we make it stable. हमारे attributional style stable होते हैं. What we'll do is कि उसने मुझे छोड़ा है, सब मुझे छोड़ेंगे, हमेशा ही छोड़ते जाएंगे. मेरे ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. ठीक, ये ऐसे है, लोग मुझे छोड़ते हैं और छोड़ेंगे ही. And the third is consistent attributional style that we say कि मैं तो इसमें कुछ नहीं कर सकता, मैं तो लोगों के साथ अच्छा होता हूँ, लोग चले जाते हैं. So you see how I attributed all the reasons on it कि इस मसले का कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता. So our thinking matters a lot. A counter approach could have been कि मैं ये सोचती कि yes, my best friend left me, but there are other people in my life who do not leave me. Instead of saying कि मुझे तो सब छोड़ के चले जाते हैं, सब global, सारे हर बार ही मेरे साथ ऐसे होना है, then it's not stable. Then I could have said कि okay, she did leave me, but maybe what I can do is that I can see where I went wrong. Did I hurt her? What were the reasons behind her leaving? And maybe, although she left me, I have other friends. I can make other friends, or I can communicate better to this friend. So how you think over an event changes your whole life's chemistry for you. So what I'd suggest you is that work on your attributional styles. When something goes wrong, scrutinize the mental commentary that goes in it. आप जब कुछ आपकी जिंदगी में गलत होता है, आप उससे किस तरह से डील करते हैं, आप जहन में उसकी रीजनिंग क्या बनाते हैं. This leads to depression. Depressive patients have depressive attributional styles. If you have them, you have a great tendency for depression. Please work on them. Now, there are certain physical changes that you can make in your life that will help you in navigating through life in a much better way. But that is a topic for some other day. Inshallah, we'll get in that detail. For now, what I'm leaving you with to cure depression is psychological help and an internal locus of control. Know that no matter how bad the situation is, don't let your mind can work against you, by the way. So don't let your mind have all these negative attributional styles and tell you कि मैं तो कुछ नहीं कर सकता. In every situation, you can either help yourself and or you can regulate your emotions and yourself in a better way. Viktor Frankl is a person that I would like you guys to read on, to research on this topic. And that is what I'm leaving you with. So this was all on depression from my side. If you feel like you have this depression, you need psychological help, I'm always available for you. We can sit and discuss it. We can work on making ourselves better. And the physical aspects of life that you can improve, a video will be coming on it very soon, inshallah. Till then, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, take care of the people around you, and keep laughing, keep fighting with the mental problems that come to your mind. And remember, not everything you think of is right. Not everything your brain tells you is right. Challenge your thoughts, challenge your attributional styles. And have a good day. Thank you. This is Simmal Naseeb signing off. Allah Hafiz.